Hi, I'm Sarah from accounting. Yes, that's Sarah, the one who labels her folders with emojis, the one who brings hand sanitizer to offsites and says, sorry, when someone bumps into her. If you're thinking, oh no, I know a Sarah, hi, it's me. I use exclamation points like punctuation sugar. And I once wrote, have the best day ever, in an invoice follow up email. So, I'm doing great. Anyway, this is not a story about spreadsheets. Although I could talk for a full hour about tab color coding etiquette, this is a story about my manager, Mindy, and how I thought she was my work sister, until I realized she was just Mindy. It all started one October. I came into the office with a pumpkin spice latte, and Mindy said,
Twinsies.
she had the same one. She even complimented my scarf. And that was it. That was all it took. A shared coffee order and a scarf, and suddenly I thought we had a soul bond. We started having weekly PSL runs. She'd loop me into leadership prep meetings. She said I reminded her of herself.
Back when I still had hope and wrist strength.
I laughed. She winked. She told me she wanted to grow me. And I melted like whipped cream on a seasonal latte. So when she asked me to stay late to help clean up her budget deck, I did it. Twice. Even when I had actual plans, with people, that I had rescheduled. When she accidentally forgot to mention I'd built half the model she presented to senior leadership, I brushed it off. She said,
It's our win.
and I thought, wow, she's so generous. She once texted me a TikTok about work besties. I cried, in the bathroom. I really believed we had something rare. A female manager who got me, who saw me, who told me my post-it handwriting looked executive ready. But then, she started missing little things, didn't submit my mid-year feedback, said she was too swamped, but posted an Insta story from a nail salon 2 hours later. I told myself, she trusts me to manage my own performance. That's empowering. She asked me to onboard a new hire, without telling anyone, which made it look like I just showed up and took over. Awkward. She kept saying I was not ready yet for presenting, but had me take notes, summarize the meeting, clean up the deck. Basically everything but breathe on the mic. Still, I held on to our PSL friendship, because surely that meant something. I mean, we had a shared spreadsheet called Stuff We Hate, which, in hindsight, was mostly her venting and me heart reacting. But things really hit me during a team meeting. I presented a tiny section, my voice shook, my slides were clean, I even made a pun. And Mindy said,
Great job supporting the main message.
like I was a sidekick, to her idea, which was my idea, that she tweaked by changing the font. I felt small, like metaphorical pocket-size small. That night, I went home, curled up with a blanket, and poured a generous mug of, you guessed it, pumpkin spice tea. Because apparently I commit to the aesthetic even when heartbroken. I looked back on everything. The late nights, the ghosted recognition, the quiet erasure of my efforts, masked as mentorship. And it hit me. Mindy wasn't my work sister. She was my manager. A bad one. And I don't say that lightly. I've had good managers before. Ones who coached, celebrated, empowered, even joked around. Ones who were friends. But Mindy? She blurred the lines. Not to support me, but to use my effort as her cushion. She took advantage of my helpfulness and hid behind friendliness. It wasn't evil. It was convenient. For her. And honestly, that realization sucked. Because I liked believing I was chosen. That my extra effort mattered. That the PSLs meant more than caffeine. But here's what I learned. The hard way. A compliment is not compensation. Access is not advocacy. And shared coffee is not shared credit. So I changed. Not overnight, not dramatically. I just changed. I said no, softly, politely, with a smile. I started documenting things. I stopped answering messages past 6 p.m. I stopped oversharing. And I stopped making friendship bracelets out of praise crumbs. Mindy noticed. She said,
You've changed.
and I said, I think I just grew up a little. And that was the first time I felt tall at work. Not loud, not bossy, just grounded. Look, I still believe in kindness, in work friendships, in female managers who uplift and celebrate and share PSLs without hidden expectations. But this wasn't that. This was blurred boundaries dressed up as bonding. And I got burned. With extra cinnamon. So if you're sitting there wondering if your boss is your friend, ask yourself, do you feel seen? Do you feel safe? Or do you feel small and needed only when it's convenient? Because real friends don't keep score. Real mentors don't make you earn basic credit. And real leaders don't hide behind cute inside jokes when things get hard. If your manager is your friend, and it's real and mutual and empowering, I love that for you. Truly. But if your Mindy is showing, it's okay to step back. Kindly, clearly, without guilt. Boundaries are not distance. They're just a polite way of saying, I respect myself too.
Follow, subscribe, or whatever this app wants.